Craig Gibson. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Good.
Good. I appreciate you giving me the time, mate. Taking some time out of your busy schedule, I'd imagine, to come and speak to me.
Nice boy.
Bit of a background about myself, mate. I spent 20 years in a cocaine addiction. Um, had a lot of unhealed trauma that I didn't understand, didn't even know it was there. Really, I had some, we'll call them more severe traumas from childhood that I knew about, but I just didn't realize how much that affected me on a day-to-day basis. So I'm actually in the process. I'm doing a level 7 in trauma-informed psychology at the moment. Doing a lot of work around addiction, mental health, growth, neuro-linguistics. And for me, these conversations are about talking solutions, right? There's a lot of people who talk problems, but as human beings, we need to talk solutions to become the solution, right? So, I mean, what I'd like from you today is a bit about yourself, where you grew up, how you got into the position that you're in now, and just, just some of your tools, techniques, etc. on how you help people, I guess.
Yeah. So it's interesting, isn't it? How you say, like, you have these little niggles and traumas and that you don't think affect you.
Mm.
And I was the same when I started. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I can remember going to some breath work. This is how it started. I went to this breath work session, and the guy's like, "Oh, you know, what traumas?" I'm like, "No traumas. I'm fine." I had a great upbringing. There was just me and my mum. Didn't have anything flash, but I never wanted for nothing. There was always food on the table, and I was always loved, you know. And then after the session, I can remember thinking, "Yeah, I'm traumatized. Where did all that come from?"
Yeah.
I've had to do a lot of inner child work, like after that session. And I always say it's like peeling an onion. You just layer after layer, and you're going through bits, and it's frigging never ending. Even the slightest little thing, like being left to cry as a baby, or saying, especially men, it was my mum always used to say, "I'll give you something to cry for. If you want to cry, I'll give you something to cry for." It's like I wouldn't even dream of saying that to my kids, you know. I think it's one thing that I touched on this week as well. Go on, sorry.
No, it's okay. Go on, carry on.
It's one thing I've touched on this week. Is how we speak to our children, how we speak to ourselves, because it's that inner script and it's that inner dialogue. Like what we say to them now, they're going to listen and play over and over again to their children. And it's like, where do we need to draw the line and say, right, okay, this is where it stops. It stops with us pushing it onto the next generation with the words we use, like with the linguistics. All these things, they play a massive part in how we behave today, and the language we use on ourselves and with others. It's mental. It's a big rabbit hole.
We've been doing, me and the guy who's mentoring me. There's a guy mentoring me from South Africa. He's like a psychologist and 30 years neuro-linguistics master. And we've been doing a lot of work around echoes and patterns and behaviors and stuff. And it's funny just how much we say and do that isn't actually part of who we are. We just do it because everybody else does it, or our parents said it, or our friends do it or say it. And when you strip all them back and take away this perception of what we call reality, mate, you're looking at, almost the way I looked at it, it was like a blank canvas, and it was like, right, what does Lee want to do? What does Lee enjoy doing? And we talk about our childhood selves, right? So when I first came into this addiction sector of social media, there's a lot of people on social media who talk 12-step programs, right? It's an important aspect of recovery for a lot of people. But I just couldn't agree with some of the terminology that was on there, which was like, you need to believe in a higher power. And I was like, somebody asked me what my higher power was, and I said, my childhood self. That was my higher power, because I believe I'd stripped myself back from my identity. I was using behaviors, patterns, beliefs, and echoes that were never my own. And it was only by saying what you said, reconnecting with who I was as a young boy, that I've really, truly learned to embody my real values, my real behaviors and skills, etc. I used to do a lot of writing. I used to do a lot of storytelling as a kid. I stopped doing all that when I reached 17 and I learned what cocaine was. Stopped doing all of that. Stopped doing all these things. And like I say, I've not got an issue with a 12-step program, but for me personally, it was about reconnecting with my childhood self and discovering who Lee was as a grown man and allowing the boy to become a man. It was so important for me, mate. So important.
I think that you said it there yourself, like reconnecting. It's one thing I say, right? When a client comes and they'll just throw a load of negatives out about themselves. And I'm like, but that's not you, is it? Like when you're born perfect. Everybody's born perfect. I don't care if you've got, a physical defect or whatever. You are perfect in that moment, right there and then, just born. Like when you take a light bulb out of a packet and you plug it and you put it in, it shines bright, yeah? So imagine you put this light bulb in a dusty cellar. The light's still shining bright as it ever did from the first day you put it in. It could be in there 10 years and it's still shining bright. It just looks dull because of all the dust that's gathered on it. And that's the same with us. We get dust put on us true selves, if you like.
Yeah.
And from dust from childhood, from parents, from grandparents, from the schooling system, from what we listen to, what we read, social media, and it all shapes how we think and behave.
Yeah.
So all we have to do is get rid of the dust, wipe the dust off, and you're back to that perfect true self, the person you want to be, underneath the ego, the thoughts, and everything else, like how we think we should behave, or how people think we should behave. Underneath all that, we're pretty perfect, aren't we? And it is getting back to that.
I had a conversation last week or the week before with Tyson Fury's cousin. He came on the podcast, and he was talking about his son. His son's got autism, and he was saying, I would die for my son to have a perfectly normal life. And I said to him, the thing is, though, when we talk perceptions of reality, look, I've done a little bit around quantum physics and the different realities, different perceptions and stuff. When we talk reality, that child doesn't know anything different. To him, that's normality. To him, that's reality. So we look at them as poorly or different, whereas that child looks at himself as perfect. I'm me.
Yeah.
This is who I am, right? So it's the problem, and I did this a lot, mate, with my kids. The problem was I tried to live my life through the eyes of my son. I tried to relive my childhood years and my teenage years through the eyes of my son. I was really good at football. I played in goal. Had trials for a lot of teams, Leeds United, Everton, Wales. So I pushed him into football. I wanted him to be a goalkeeper. But the fact of the matter is, he didn't like football. And it was difficult for me to get to accept. But as parents, we always look at our children and think, if they don't align with our values and what we enjoy, then there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
But that's not true. Like you said there, even a child that's born, whether they're autistic, whether they're missing a limb, to them, they are born perfect. From the earliest stage possible. They know these are the tools that I've got. This is how I'm going to live my life. And it's really, really important, especially for parents more so than the child, because we always think something's wrong with our kids, and it's not.
No, it's exactly that. We can all create our own reality, can't we? If you say you can't do something, you can't. You're right. If you say you can, then you can. And it's the same, like you say, everyone's born perfect, and it don't matter. It's all with people's perceptions that gets put onto us and then shapes how we are. Whereas if we just let all that go, then we'll be fine. We're born with confidence. We're born with resilience. We're born with all these things that we need. But over time, they just get dulled down, don't they? By other people's thoughts and programming. And that's one of the reasons that I got out of the UK with my girls. I wanted them to be to see different cultures, be around different cultures, and not have the schooling system that we've got pushed on them. You know, not have. I like them to make their own choices. And I don't. I'm still. You know, they still get. We have to guide them. You know,
Yeah.
don't just let them run wild. You know, still guide them, but they make their own choices, and they they gather in their own data and evidence to how they want to be as people, not to how we want them to be or how we think they should be. Like with the same, I was the same with my boy. Terrible for him. You know, I've always wanted him because I've always been entrepreneurial and had businesses and everything else. And I've always tried to push it on him, and he's not bothered, which is fine. Now I know that it's up to him. That's his life. You know, yeah, I ain't got to go. Come on, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? It took me a long time to realise that as well. And you'd think I should have all the tools to know better, but it's just one thing. I was really passionate about him. You know, taking on what I've built. But it's not. If you don't want to do it, that's on him, isn't it? It's up to him. It's not. You know, it's not my decision to make. But we do. We get caught up in it, don't we? Easily done.
How did you get into the position that you're in then? Give me a bit of a background as to who you are and why you do what you do.
I think I fluked it, you know. I get asked this a lot, and I'm like, I've just been winging it, and then I end up here where I am. Like, it was first off with the breath work, and that opened some crazy doors. It really did. Like, it blew my mind. And then, so I was doing that for a while, the breath work and doing some ceremonies and the breath work scene, and then, you know, doing the cold tanks and things like that to bring my nervous system. I didn't realise that I'd been in fight and flight for such a long time. From the age of probably 11, I was in fight and flight, and then I got into a job that was very high paced, throwing steel around, and it was blah blah blah. You was fast and you was everywhere. So again, and then you went to the pub at the night time, so there was no chill out there. It was just you was either at work or you was on the piss. So there was no rest. And then obviously businesses and everything else. So I was in full flight and fight. I didn't know how to relax. And then, so that's when the journey started, you know, just getting back into rest and digest. And then when I started doing that and coming into rest and digest, it's like I had a bit of, I'm not going to say awakening, but I just seen that there's more to life, let's say. And then I had a business meeting. And every time we had these business meetings, there was always drink involved. And I said to my partner, my business partner, I said, you know what? I don't think I've ever gone 7 days without a drink. It's always come to the weekend. You go, shall I have a bottle of wine? Shall I have a couple of cans? Shall I go for a beer? So I was like, okay, then it's clearly the drink's got hold of me. And I don't mean that as in like I was an alcoholic or a big drinker. I associated it with relaxing. That was time to chill out to me. That's what I recognised it as. So I went and had a session of hypnotherapy, and that changed everything. It was absolutely mental. Have you ever had hypnotherapy?
I have, yeah. And in NLP, we do a lot of visual work, which is it's kind of like a form of hypnotherapy, but you're sort of controlling the visions and emotions attached to it.
Yeah. So that was a game changer again, and I just needed to know how it worked and why it worked and everything else. So I ended up doing a 12-month diploma, and it was like one weekend of the month, go to the place, do the training, then you do the practicing, and I was just really good at it. I just seemed to hit it. Even from like module 2, I was seeing people for hay fever, getting rid of the hay fever and aches and pains, just like whatever I was allowed to work with what I trained with. I put it straight into practice. So by the time the 12 months up and the module was done, I was pretty much flying. So then I was seeing people on a regular basis. I had a room above my friend's health shop, so I had regular clients from that, as well as I had 2 tanning salons. My wife had a beauty salon, then I just opened a healthy food takeaway. So I was doing that in between. And again, it was like 100 mile an hour. But it was what I was used to. If I didn't have 50 things going on all at once, it's like I weren't happy. You know, get rid of one, or I'm going to have to do another one now. So, yeah, so from there, I qualified. So I was a qualified clinical hypnotherapist. And then it was very NLP. It was very neuro-linguistic programming. So I went and trained I did my practitioner actually first, I did one online with Udemy, and it was absolutely shocking. Didn't learn anything.
Mm.
So then I searched for a reputable trainer, and I trained with them, NLP UK, which was brilliant. Did my practitioner, and that's when it started dropping away things for me. Like, I remember my first because it was all on Teams meeting. Couldn't get the laptop started. So as you do, I slammed the laptop down. I can't do it. It's ridiculous. Stupid. I can't learn like this. I need to be face to face. So it was like the limiting beliefs was coming up that I didn't even realize. So we worked through them when we did the module, and that dropped a lot away. And then I just finished off, and it was an upsell from them guys, which now I realize. I said, I'm going to have to shoot early. Is that okay? And they was like, well, not really. I said, I've got a problem at one of the businesses. And afterwards I said what the problem was, and he said, I've got a great technique. And he did the technique, you see it, it's on a computer, you shrink it down, let's change the colour, let's put some music on, get it, throw it, pin it down, and it disappeared. I was like, how does that work? So he sold me hook, line and sinker there. So then I ended up doing the master prac, which again, through the breakthrough day, dropped a lot away. And that's when I started realising that my true self and my values didn't align with the UK.
Mm.
I didn't want my daughters being brought up in that system. So then we started looking at travelling. So that's when I was like, obviously we're fast forwarding a few years here. I'm jumping. This was not like months, so I'm jumping ahead of it. But then I realised, okay, I want to be away. I want to start travelling. So I took my clinic, which is in person, and just brought it all online. And that's what I've done ever since, just pushing social media, pushing my website, and just being a presence on Instagram and Facebook. And that's where it blew up from there, really. But along the way, like, as you know yourself, when you're doing and you're training in these things, it just unpicks everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you do become a better person, and a better friend and a better husband and a dad, because you're picking all these things as you go along.
It's funny for me because I'm not even 12 months sober yet. I'm about 10 months nearly. But the thing is, I was doing a lot of this work before I stopped drinking and taking drugs. But the reason that it wasn't a belief is because there was no emotional attachment to it. I was learning these things and educating myself with the regards of trauma, addiction, a lot of work around identity, even though. So when we talk NLP, I was doing a lot of that work myself. I just didn't know what it was. And it was only when I met the guy who's mentoring me, because as soon as I came into recovery from addiction, I was like, I'm not an addict. I will not say those words to myself. I will not do it. My name is Lee. That's my identity. This is who I am. I've struggled with addiction, but I am not an addict. Because even saying those words, it feels like it gives power to identity for that terminology, that bracket of addiction. This is who I am. This is who I'll always be. And as human beings, like you said before, when that light is shining bright, we're so much more, we have so much more to give and create in this world than just, I am an addict. I'll never do that. I'll never, ever say those words. And for NLP, you know what the neurological levels of change are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I learned it in an iceberg method, and I've got it, a picture of it at home. And every day I look at it, literally, I can see it, I look at it every day. And I just question, right, what am I doing today? Does this align? Do my behaviors align with my beliefs? Do my values align with my environment? Do my skills align with who I am as a person? And it's just so amazing to just make it visual and look at it, because I'm a big visual. I learn visually. And it's just so powerful for me, because it's almost like I can track where I am in my journey just by looking at this iceberg with, the purpose statement, the identity, beliefs, behaviors, values, etc. I can almost monitor it daily and track it and think, right, the work I did yesterday and the work I've done today, yeah, that's all aligning. We're all good. Let's keep going. And it's really good. And I wish I'd have found it a lot sooner, but at the end of the day, I've got 20 years experience of being in addiction. Like I say, I'm doing a lot around psychology and trauma at the moment, studying polyvagal theory around the vagus nerve and how it regulates the autonomic nervous system. And brilliant. I'm loving everything that I'm doing, mate. But yeah, NLP it's a game changer for me. Some people like it, some people don't. I fucking love it, mate. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think when it does affect your life though for the better, because it's the same for me. Like I love it, and do you know what? I don't use it enough in practice because I went on to doing some 3 principles, which again is really good. But just going back to where you say about, because it's that clients, this is probably one of the first things that I say to them in a session is they associate with some, like you say, you're not an addict. The addiction is a symptom. So what's it a symptom of? When we get to the root cause, we drop away the symptom, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same with anything, anxiety, depression. Oh, my anxiety, it's not your anxiety, it's your symptom. So where's what's happening in the body or in the mind to cause that symptom?
Yeah.
And then we get to the root cause and there's no more symptom. It disappears, doesn't it?
Sorry, mate. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, that's similar to how you say you like disassociate. I'm not an addict. It's just my symptom. It's,
There was a lady. So the method you were talking about before, where you grab it, throw it at the screen, it's called the swish method.
Yeah.
And I used it 2 days ago on a lady. So I always say addiction was never the problem. Addiction was the response to the problem. That's what I say. Yeah. That's the way I've always said it. And I'm yet to people call it a disease, people call it whatever. For me, it's a response to a more deep-rooted problem in the body, in the soul, in the spirit, whatever you want to call it. And for the majority of the people that I speak to, it's trauma, right? It's a response. It's a trauma response. There was a lady the other day. She phoned me up. She said she was really struggling. She couldn't go out the house. So I've never done the swish method on anybody. I know it, but I've only ever used it on myself. So we did it, and I asked her where a happy place was, and she said it was in my old flat before I met my ex-partner. She said I was really happy. It's the happiest I've ever been. So we did it. We got the screen. We blew this photo up on the screen. A lot of noise, a lot of feelings, emotions, vibrations. Squeezed it down into a little power ball. And then after sort of 10, 15 minutes of going through it, I said to her, right, put the photograph up that makes you feel negative. And it was a photograph of her ex-partner. And then we threw the power ball at the screen. It smashed the screen. And she was like, oh, my God, I feel amazing. And I was like, it works. And like you say there, the power of belief. Belief becomes reality. Belief becomes perception. Perception becomes reality. And it only takes something so simple to switch us or swish us into a new way of thinking, right? And it's obviously you'll be using a lot more tools and techniques than what I will be, maybe, but something so simple as that changes a woman's day, and she's like, wow, I can get on with my day now. I'm going out. I'm like, fucking, we overcomplicate things sometimes, and we look at life as this big, huge wall that we've got to climb over, and sometimes we've just got to put one foot in front of the other and call it a day. And that's it. It's really important to know those things.
Agreed. It's nice. It's a great feeling as well when you can go to change somebody's life like that, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
I'm not a coach as such yet, but I could be, but I don't want to be. I want to give myself another 12 months of educating myself before I put myself out there. I've just designed my own 8-week online recovery program where I speak to people every day for an hour. There's a lot of traction built behind that, but again, it's something for further down the line. I don't just want to roll it out now. I've got a lot of work to do on myself as well. I'm I don't sit there and say, oh, I'm doing really well, because I still have my own shit days. I still struggle some days when I don't want to go out the house, or, just when you're in that sort of your fight or flight response, I guess. But it's important to understand what those days are and how to control those days, right? And get the best out of those days.
Yeah, 100%. I think any coach or anybody that's in the healing space, if they say they've done the work and it's finished and they're not carrying on and they don't have bad days, they're full of shit.
Yeah.
Aren't they? Do you know what I mean? You do get them as well, don't you? I'm like, nah, I'm not having it. They must be superhuman.
So what's life like out in Dubai? Is it Dubai you're in, isn't it?
No, so I'm in Thailand at the minute.
Oh,
Yeah,
Thailand,
it's nice.
sorry.
Good.
Yeah.
Again, like it took me a while to adapt because it's very relaxed. I'm time rich, So it's like it's great. It's great. I don't overload myself like whereas before I needed to be 100 mile an hour and everything else going off. I don't. I'll have 10 clients, 15 clients. I don't take too many on, and it's more about the way of life for me. Like I said before, the 3 principles of mind, thought, consciousness. It's about living in the now, not worrying about the thoughts of the future and everything else. Being present and just enjoying life. Just being present with the girls, and just enjoying life. Don't get me wrong, you fall out of it, from time to time. And you have to remind yourself why we're doing it, and get wrapped up. Like we've got a new 90-day program coming, and it consumes me. I was at the computer till like 2 a.m. a couple of nights, and the next day I'm like, "What? I've done it again." I fell into that old pattern, and then you feel shit all day, and then you're not being present, and you're not being, you're not being who you want to be. You know what I mean? You're being that old you that's used to being 100 mile an hour, wants to conquer the world, wants to take on everything. It's not about that. It's about Jimmy Carr says it best, doesn't he? It's not the destination; it's the journey, or who you become on the journey. And that's why I have to remind myself often. Like it's not the destination. There's no rush to get there. Yeah. Only 42. You know what I mean? Like just calm down. It'll happen. Everything is just going to fall into place, and it always does. It always does fall into place.
I've heard Jimmy Carr talk about that. I like to, the way I describe it is the journey is the destination, because once you've hit a certain moment in life, whether that's an achievement, whether that's a target, whether that's a goal, there will be another one after that. There'll always be another achievement, another target. So the terminology that I use is when you're walking through the woods, don't miss the trees. Make sure we're looking at every tree as we're walking through the woods. Don't just be looking for the end of the woods to get out of them. Take pride in looking at all the different trees, all the different shapes and sizes and colors, because at the end of the day, once we get to the end of the forest, that's when I get buried. That's when they're digging a hole in the ground and chucking me in the ground. Because for me, the journey is the destination. I fucking love this journey that I'm on, and it's given me the ability to have these conversations and actually know what I'm talking about while having these conversations. And if I never achieved another thing in my life, that alone has given me so much value. It's incredible. I look at the old person, the old lady, the one who used to take drugs and be an absolute prick of a human being, and I just think that was never even me. That was never me to begin with. And it genuinely feels like it was a different lifetime, another life that I've been reborn out of the ashes of and grown into this person. It's crazy. The feeling it's intense, really is.
Yeah.
So that what was it? The 3 mind, body, and spirit. Did you say?
Yeah, the 3 principles. It's by a guy called Sidney Banks. Oh, it's the best thing I've ever done. Honestly, it's brilliant. It's been not just for me as well. Like my clients get so much from it.
Yeah.
Like most of the problems are just thought. So when we can understand that, and it can just drop away like that, and that's getting them to connect, getting them to come out of the ego and the thought and listen to the inner wisdom and the true self. Much like with your iceberg thing, it's the same thing. you know, when you're aligning with your true purpose, you're not going to get anxiety. You're not going to have depression. You're not going to have, you know, all these shitty things that are going off, these negative thoughts, because they're not you, are they?
No.
And once you understand that and put them into practice, life's pretty much. It's a really good technique, like settling the snow globe down, I call it. Get them to settle, close the eyes, settle the snow globe, and you listen to that inner wisdom. And they get so many realizations through the. One lady did it for like 55 minutes, and she would just bang, 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 realization after realization. Some people it might take 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but when you settle people down, they come with a problem, you settle them down. Instead of intellectualizing it, settling it down and listening to your heart, you've got all the answers. Yeah. And as soon as you get them, it's like it internalizes better. So it's no good me saying, oh, you need to do this, this, and this. Don't mean nothing, does it? It's just me saying it to you, like you're going to go, oh, yeah, okay. But once you say it to yourself from the heart, through that inner wisdom, like you said before, that your true self or your highest power was that little boy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's to say, I think it's that little boy, it's that inner wisdom, it's the godlike state, whatever. Like it's all in here. We've got it all, and we just need to get back to it because we get so far removed. And when we get back to it, we've got all the answers. Like a dog, like when a dog knows to eat grass when it's got an upset tummy, don't it, or whatever. Yeah. Like, how does it know that? Who's told it? Just knows, don't it? Because it's not listened to. It don't watch the news. It's not been to school. It's not listened to its friends. It just knows because it's listening to its body and its inner wisdom. So it knows what to do. But we don't do that as people. And that's what it's about, getting back to that, you know, getting out of the thought and the ego and listening to that inner wisdom and sitting with it. And it's powerful, honestly. We'll have to do it like, yeah. I'll have to show you, honestly. It's so good. It's so good. And it's so simple as well.
I'll 100% do it. You can teach me. I'll teach whatever. I'm up for learning anything and everything, mate. When we talk purpose, right? I've got a question for you. I hear a lot of people talk about purpose and they say, my purpose is to help somebody else, it sounds really, really, really beautiful, right? Do you believe purpose can be motivated externally, or does purpose has to be internal, right? It's got to be.
Yeah, I think, again, if it's external to internal, you're just trying to get that feeling from somebody else, aren't you? Whether it's to bump yourself up, your own confidence or whatever. But if it comes from internally to externally, it's going to feel more comfortable, more in line. I don't know
what would you say your purpose is?
Yeah, I was about to answer. What is my purpose? My purpose is just to, if you would have asked me this a year ago, I would have said my purpose is to help as many people as humanly possible. But now my purpose is just to enjoy life. My purpose is to not just exist, but to thrive and to show my kids a better quality of life. And I don't mean that materialistically. Yeah. I mean that, like, you know, there's more to life than what I grew up with and what my wife grew up with and everything else. And that's my purpose. My purpose is to enjoy every single minute of today.
But you see the difference in statements, right? One's external, one's internal.
Yeah.
One, help as many people as possible. And then the other one is, I want to enjoy life with my family. And you know,
but you can still do that, though. That's the thing. You can still have that, help as many people as humanly possible. And you're probably going to do it better when there's no tie to it, when it's not something, I get up in the morning and go, right, who can I help? Because there's rush and there's panic and there's, you know, just relax and trust that you're going to go and help somebody else by being the person you are. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that and that sort of the external aspect of it, helping other people, that comes under the word enjoy, though, doesn't it? You enjoy it helping other people, so inevitably that comes under enjoying. So that statement of I just want to enjoy life and live the best way I can it's a very broad spectrum, but for you it holds meaning, right? And that's the most important thing. I've got my purpose statement written up on the wall there. So I awaken the spark in people who feel broken, and it's an I statement. It's an I am statement which creates identity.
Yeah.
And I feel
And
as
do you
though
know
that's
what as well?
Go
I
on.
think you get better results when you do that as well. Like you're not
Absolutely.
doing it for any reason other than you want to light that spark in someone. You're not doing it for money. I mean, don't get me wrong, we still got to eat, right? So
Yeah.
there's always going to be a money aspect to something if it wants to be a career or whatever, or you want to go on to do for that to be something, in the long term. But when it's not your motive and your main objective, you get your rewards are so much better, and that person's going to get the best of you and not the best of your ego. They're going to get you from your inner wisdom, and then you can speak to their inner wisdom, as opposed to ego to ego. I'm doing this because I want to help this person because they're going to pay me. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I want to help this person because I want to help them to help themselves, ignite that light, so they can go on and be a better person or whatever. It's completely different, and it shifts it massively. And that's why I think you're always going to get people come to you, and everything else just falls into line, don't it?
And this is the thing. I've tried to help a few individuals because I do a lot of work on TikTok mainly. I use Instagram and Facebook, but because the editing on YouTube, that's taking so much of my time up, and I'm trying to build the brand on YouTube at the moment. I just I've started going into Instagram a little bit more, but it was more YouTube and TikTok. And I see a few guys on there. Some of them will get huge numbers, and I mean huge numbers. And I'll just sit and listen to them speak. And and they'll say stuff like, "I want to be rich. I want to be this. I want to be that." And they say the right words. I want to help people. And then I listen to them and I think, this is all external validation. All of it, every single piece of it, which inevitably will cause them to, don't want to say fail, because I don't believe in failure, but they won't succeed to the heights that they want, because it's not coming from an inner motivation or an inner purpose. It's all driven by the thoughts and feelings of other people and how they give. So I got a friend of mine, good guy, good kid, but he's learning a lot. And he said, I want the car and the money and the house to prove my parents wrong. And I was like, nah, doesn't work. I said, it doesn't work, because inevitably you might buy a Ferrari, but in 6 months' time, that Ferrari's a Fiesta because it's lost its value.
Yeah.
You're trying to prove something to somebody else.
It's never proven it to someone else. He feels not good enough. He feels like he needs to be deserving of the parents' love. Just deal with that issue. Deal with the not good enough. Drop that self-belief away, and you don't mind if you're driving a fucking Ferrari or a Porsche or a Fiesta or a Ferrari, because you're going to feel exactly the same, because you've got. Mate, I've done it. I've had the Rolexes, the Range Rover, the nice cars. I got a moped outside now that cost me freaking £202.50 a day. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, none of that matters anymore, because I'm not. No. I don't need to prove anything to myself or to anybody else, because I know I'm good enough. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing, is it? That's what we chase, and that's what keeps us chasing that artificial stuff, or the stuff that don't really matter. But it feeds us, and it feeds the ego. So we think we need it, but we don't. If we go figure out what it is that's causing that limiting belief of not. It's the same, mate. I had not worthy, not clever enough. I was brought up in a council estate with not a pot to piss in. You know what I mean? Not good enough. Fear of rejection, because obviously my dad walked away. What else was underneath there? Not clever enough to learn. That was the biggest. Once I dropped that away, information retained like that, I can take on anything, like information-wise. Whereas before, I'm like, I'm dyslexic, I'm fucking autistic, I'm ADHD, I can't do this. And now I'm like, yeah, great, I'm ADHD. That means I can, when I want to fire up, let's get shit done. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all reframed. It's not a negative anymore. It turns into a positive. Went on a tangent there, but that's you get what I'm saying, though, don't you? And it's that we're searching for validation from other people when it needs to be internal. Yeah. As soon as we master that and figure that out, we don't need anything. We don't need the flash stuff. It's nice to have it. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's definitely comfier driving a Range Rover than is a Fiesta.
Yeah.
But get it for the right reason, because it's comfier, not because it makes you feel like you're important. You know.
And that's it, mate. Like, don't get me wrong. I'd love a nice big house. I'd love a nice car. I'd love a fucking boat to go around the Mediterranean Sea in. If I get them, brilliant. If I don't really give a fuck, to be honest. I really don't.
Mm.
But it would be really, really nice to have those things. But what I've got at the moment is amazing. It's beautiful. You know, so a bit about myself. I grew up on a council estate in North Wales. A single mother raised me and my brother. My dad was a bit of a lad, and, you know, just a bit of a lad, enjoyed fighting, drinking, taking drugs, and sleeping with as many women as possible. My mother was violent towards me as a kid, really violent. She'd knock fuck out of me. And when I say it wasn't just a slap, it was weapons and fists and blood and all sorts. And it was only, you know, when I would think I was 17 or 18 when I left home, and didn't really want a relationship with anybody in my family at that time, apart from my grandparents. My grandparents were my safe space my whole life, mate. So the day that they both died, they were my fucking safe space. I had 2 kids, got married at a very early age. Looking back, as somebody who's 37 years old, it was the wrong choice. Should never have got married. I wasn't ready. I had far too many issues going on. But, you know, at the time, I didn't realize them. It was only when 4 or 5 years ago, I got divorced, lost my house. My grandparents both passed away. I call them my parents. I always called them my mum and dad. They both passed away. I ended up having to go and live with my father because I was homeless otherwise, in a 2-bedroom flat, which was basically a drugs den. And I just started taking copious amounts of cocaine, like £500 a day, easy. And then one day I tried to kill myself. I took, like, I don't know, probably about an ounce of cocaine, with a load of sleeping tablets. And I just sat there drinking, taking cocaine, sleeping tablets, and it just didn't stop until the point where my body didn't know what to do. It collapsed. I started convulsing on the floor, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to die. And I shut my eyes, and I thought I'd never, ever open them again. And I woke up 20 plus hours later in a pool of blood. And then I never believed in fate or anything like that at the time. But a week later, I was at the cash machine getting money out, and my girlfriend walked past me. And then I'm sure you're aware of it. I get a like on one of my photos on Facebook, and I thought, oh, she must like me, this girl. So I dropped her a message, said, "Do you want to go out for dinner?" And then 3.5 years later, we're together. Me and her went up Snowdon, living the best life I can possibly imagine. My son lives with me again now. He lives with me and my girlfriend full time. My daughter lives in Liverpool with her mum. I'm nearly 12 months without any alcohol. My body's getting back into shape. My diet's really good. My education's brilliant. And all that's in the space of, 4 or 5 years, where I've gone from the point where I didn't want to, it's not that I wanted to die. It's just I didn't know how to live any other way. And then 4 years later, I'm living the happiest life that I've ever lived, ever.
What was your biggest learning from it?
My biggest learning, to be kinder to myself.
Yeah.
I think as human beings, we always associate with negativity. We never look at positivity. Even now, right, with everything that I'm doing. If I don't hit certain amount of episodes that I can edit or do in a week, or if I don't hit a certain amount of education in a week, I'll look at the negatives, and my mentor, he'll say, "Mate, you're smashing this. be kinder to yourself. And knowing what I know now, simplicity and being kinder to myself would probably be the two key things, because, again, when we talk perception and reality, we overcomplicate things every day. We overcomplicate our thought process, our behaviors. Simplicity, like you said there, everything's balls to the wall 99.999% of the time. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just sit back and think, I'm going to have an hour to myself, just going to chill out for an hour.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, I can't go back and change anything, but I think I would have tried to fix my relationship with my mother a lot earlier. That's been a very broken relationship for a long time. There was a lot of anger and resentment held towards my mother. And it was only when I realized that it was never about me. It was never about me, the violence that was put towards me. It was always about her issues. She may have took them out on me, but I was never the problem. I was the response to the problem, right?
Yeah.
And it was only then when I learned, because you know yourself, mate, being a parent doesn't come with a fucking guidebook. It doesn't come with a step-by-step on a day-to-day basis. This is what we need to do.
No.
And it's when I learned she was raised that way. She was hit and beaten as a child. That's what she knew, to discipline somebody, even though, you know, I was a good kid. That's how she knew how to react to something. But yeah, I think, yeah,
it's that era, isn't it? That era from that. So I'm 42, so a few years older, but that's how we was brought up. It was a clip round the ear or smacked arse, you know, and that's how that's all they knew. And that's what I'm saying about breaking that generational thought process, or, you know, it's not how you behave, is it? I think back in that generation, just couldn't emotionally regulate. Even my mum now, she still can't emotionally regulate. When she knew we was moving away, she blocked me. Like, that was her response. Well, I'll just block him out of my life. Like, what? I'm only 12 hours away. Do you know what I mean? I'm still here. Like, no, he's dead to me now. That's it. Block him. And it's like, it took me a while to sort of coach around to say, Mum, like, you don't need to do that. Like, we've got to emotionally regulate here. You know, let's have a conversation. You don't just block somebody because they're moving away. Do you know what I mean? But that was her response, wasn't it?
My mum's exactly the same. Anything that sort of challenges her emotional state, she'll blow up like a bottle of pop, even now.
Yeah.
Like, was it yesterday? I borrowed some money off her last year. And anyway, I got made redundant last week, and I've gone straight into a new job, like I mentioned on the messages. So I got my redundancy. Really good number for me. Really good number. Never seen that type of money in my bank before. Anyway, the plan was to always pay her back. So I paid her back, put it into her account. But the bank, they must have thought there was like money laundering going on or something. So they stopped the transaction. They froze a bank account. And her response was, fuck it. If the money's gone, it's gone. I don't want the money. It's gone. Leave it. Shut the bank account down. I was like, Mum, calm down. All we got to do, just phone him and say, look, it's my son who's giving me the money. He owed me the money. He'll gladly tell you he will. It's my money. And she was like, bollocks to it. It's done. It's done. Shut it up. Like,
we've had a very, very similar upbringing as well, you know, very similar. Like when you was telling me, I was like, yeah, very, very, very similar. Again, like my mum, we used to get kicked around the ear roll, and then when my stepdad came, he was a pisshead. Great guy, do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, but he's a big drink. Still is now. I'm surprised he's still going, to be fair. And I was brought up a lot by my grandma and granddad. And it was that, you know, council estate, the old family was rough. Not rough, but they liked to scrap. There was always at the football. There was always in and out of the nick. Do you know what I mean? So that was always around me. You know, all that, the trouble was always around. The drink was always around. So you can sort of see why it's normalised to go out on a weekend and have a scrap, have a beer after work. You know, always have cans in the fridge, because that's what it was like growing up. It was only when I started doing all the work, it's like, well, this is not normal. My brain thinks it's normal. to do this. That's me. It's in my script. So, to rewrite that script for Craig, it was, it was really good. And then, like you said before, with that, the brain is wired for negativity. It's wired to find the dangers and everything else. So it's a constant job, isn't it, to rewire the thought, and to reframe it to a positive. But I enjoy it. It's like a game now. I like all that, and it's the same. Like I'm going around in circles here, and that's with my mum as well. Like similar to your mum, she lost her phone once when we was on holiday, and my friend found it, gave it her, and there was no, oh my God, thank God for that. I found my phone. She's like, brilliant. Now I've got 3 missed calls. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah. Like
not great. I found my phone. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just think, but it's that generation, isn't it? It's that generation of like.
It's funny because like something like that there, where if that was me and I found the phone, she'd blame me for the 3 missed calls. Now I've got 3 missed calls. You know what I mean? It's your fucking fault. Yeah, but it's right though, man. I think when you asked me before, what's your biggest takeaways? That's huge because I could look at all the negative things that I've done in life, but I could also look at the positive. I raised a son at 19, a daughter at 22, 23. And they're both fantastic kids, and they're both amazing children. They're very polite. They're very well mannered. They don't get into trouble. They'll always say please and thank you. They're just little things like that. And I think these are brilliant kids. And in this day and age where it is, and I'm not saying, I'm not saying parents or whatever, but in this day and age where kids are very volatile and very, and I mean kids in general, right? When we talk social media and things like that, and kids are influenced in this modern world by fucking idiots on social media talking about absolute nonsense. I like I believe I've got old school values from my grandfather. My granddad was, like you said before, he was a big supper, big drinker, big dude like me. I'm 6'6", big lad. My granddad's 6'3", 6'4". He laid railway lines his whole life, hands like fucking shovels. He'd never drink in the house, but when he went to the pub, you'd have to go and carry him home, and I was the same for a long time in my life. I'd never drink in the house, but when I went out, I'd stay out, and that was part of my issue. But I guess what I'm saying is, when I was in the house, I took a lot of my grandfather's traits. So I believe, even with all the bad things that I've done in my life, that was a huge win in a world that's changing, to keep those old school values and pass them to my children as well.
Yeah. It's good that you can take the good stuff and utilize that, and then not utilize that negative stuff, because we can easily, we can fall into that trap. Oh, this happened, that happened. This is why I do that. This is why I do that. And push that onto your children, or onto anybody really, to partners, to friends. And people do, don't they? You fall into that negative cycle, or that way the world owes you a favour. You know what I mean? Victim mentality. That's it, isn't it? Like you can easily, when you go through shit, you can easily fall into that victim mentality. So to go through all that and do everything you've done and come out the other side, magic, isn't it? Like, I wouldn't want to change everything. I've done some bad shit that I'm not proud of, and I wouldn't change any of it, because it's all made me the person I am today.
Yeah. My girlfriend asked me the other day if you could go back and change anything, would you? And I said, well, that depends. Do I get the same outcome? And she was like, well, no. I was like, well, then no, I wouldn't change anything. Because everywhere has got me to this point today, having this conversation with you. Victim mentality, we'll call it victim mentality. I had that. I said for a long, long time, the world owes me a favour, and somebody better come and knock my door soon with a little envelope saying, Lee, this is your reward.
Yeah.
The postman was never walking down my road with that letter in his bag, mate.
He never does.
No.
But but the thing is, we all do get that though, don't we, at some point in life? Nobody can say they've not ever felt like that, even if it was for a day.
Yeah.
You know, you do when things are tough. You feel fucking why me? Something good better be coming here. You know.
The problem, I think a lot of my friends still have it now. I can, and the funny thing is, well, it's not funny, but I can see it now being on the other side. You mentioned before, like all my friends are council estate boys, or sorry, all the guys that I grew up with who I'd call friends, and they either take drugs or sell drugs, and then have a fight on the weekend. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all they do. And
Which was it was great many years ago, but you got, do you know what I mean? Well, you got to grow out of it at some point.
Yeah, we're pushing 40 now. Do you know what I mean? And they're still doing it. And I just look at it now, and then with the ability and knowledge that I have now, I'm able to look at them and look at their lives and go, he does this because of this. They do this because of this.
Yeah.
And I've tried to have this conversation with a couple of them, and all I get is, "Shut up, you fucking dickhead."
Yeah,
That's fine, no problem.
I used the snake analogy on a good mate the other when we was back home. And it's like if a snake, he was going on about something that happened. This guy's a dickhead because of this. I was like, actually, he's all right. He might have been a dickhead 20 years ago when he did this, but he's a nice guy now. And he's like, no. And I was like, I said, if a snake bit you, would you chase the snake to ask it why it bit you, or would you concentrate and go into the hospital and get healing the wound? Mm. But his response was, I've just strangled a snake. Like, well, there you go then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
again, that's a trauma response, though, or a fight or flight response, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, 100%.
So when we talk trauma, right? I mean, what I ask when we talk trauma, or when I speak to people involved in trauma, what do you believe trauma is?
Oh, trauma can be any. Trauma is something that causes a reaction in the body to hold a negative charge.
Yeah.
So from being called a fat shit at school, to being bullied, to being abused mentally, physically, it's that old saying, isn't it? There was two twins, weren't there? Two twins, and they was raised by an alcoholic father. You ask one twin, never touched a drop in his life. Why? Because my father was an alcoholic. The other twin is an alcoholic. Why? Well, my father was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So it's the person, isn't it? It's not the event. It's how the person's internalizing it. So trauma could be anything from, having your bike stolen to being, the worst kind of trauma you can imagine.
Yeah.
But it's on that person, isn't it? That person, it could stay in the body the same as, something traumatic. Or, something really traumatic. Yeah. So it's not something I ever judge. Like, someone can come with the smallest thing ever, and they sort of go, "Oh no, I shouldn't be feeling like this. It's only a little thing," but it's not, is it? And most of it's from childhood. Try telling that to a 4-year-old boy.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you just said. So I've studied around Bowlby's theory of attachment, and how, as children, if our caregivers aren't giving us enough attention or emotional love, that in itself. So the analogy that I use a lot is, a child draws a beautiful picture. It's the most amazing picture they've ever drawn. Beautiful. They're so excited. They run up to mummy and daddy. Mum, dad, look at this photo that I've drawn. And the mum and dad go, "Not now, we're busy."
Or you've not stayed in the lines.
Yeah.
It's good, but you've not stayed. I use the same one. I use the same story, exactly the same analogy, honestly.
Yeah. that in itself gives then, or it dampens the spirit, dampens the emotions, and that can be held with trauma. When we talk emotions.
But it can have a Gestalt effect as well, though. So sorry to interrupt. So, like, say that one small thing there, that's it. It goes on a Gestalt effect, let's call it. So that small thing of, "Oh, you've not stayed in the lines," or "Show me later, I'm busy." That's the first pearl, let's say, in the Gestalt effect of, I'm not good enough, or I'm not getting that, I'm not getting what I need. And then the second one, this is what I use with clients. The second one, my daughter bought a painting home from school. I said, "That's a nice giraffe." She said, "No, it's an elephant." So that's the second event. And every time this event happens, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The emotional trauma to it, let's say. So it started off this big. By the age of 8, it's like this.
Yeah.
It's massive. Do you know what I mean? And so it don't matter how small it is. because it gets reaffirmed by the brain each time it happens.
Have you ever looked into ACEs?
No.
So adverse childhood events, it's called. It's like a pyramid of severity, let's call it. So it starts at the bottom with almost, I mean, being born early. That can be a trauma.
Yeah, it's a big one as
being
well.
born premature, then being brought up in a single parent household. Then that what we spoke about there, the lack of understanding or lack of care given by the parents, and then them three compile on top of each other. Then it could be bullied in primary school. That's another one. And then high school. Then high school's a fucking zoo anyway, isn't it? So most people come out of it with some form of trauma from high school. But then obviously when you grow up, then alcohol addiction, self-harming, and then obviously the top of the scale is suicide. I looked at it a couple of years ago, and there's a questionnaire. Might be good to have a look with some of your clients. There's a questionnaire online. If you type in adverse childhood events, it gives you a 10-question questionnaire, and basically rates your ACEs score. I got 8 out of 10 on mine, and they reckon anything above 3 out of 10, you triple the likelihood of falling into either addiction, depression, self-harming, or attempted suicide. And by reading that and understanding that, I was able then to tip them over one by one, just get rid of them.
Yeah. But this is the thing though. This is what I would, and I don't know if you'll do this with timeline therapy or NLP. There's a technique called timeline therapy, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Instead of taking someone back to the last time they had that event, take them back to the very first time they had the event, and all the others drop away with it. So you ain't got to work backwards. Yeah. You go to the first time it ever happened, and it could be in the womb. You know, I've had past lives passed down genealogically in the womb, but you find that first event, the first time they felt that emotion, drop it away, all the rest drop away with it. And that's what's good with limiting beliefs, because that's what happens. Basically, it's a belief, and it starts this big of being left to cry, you know. Or when I had timeline therapy with me, when I did my breakthrough day, I heard my mum and dad talking about not wanting me, and I could see it with, you know, we took it back. It was a vision. I was watching it above, and I could see the steps where we was. I can visual it now like it was a memory. And I was in the room. And it was my dad saying, no, we've got to get rid, blah, 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 too young, I don't want this. My mum's like, well, I'm not getting rid, I'm keeping it, kind of thing. So how has that sat with me as an embryo, as that little embryo, listening to that, being told that I'm not wanted? Do you know what I mean? And again, whether you believe in this kind of thing or not, it don't really matter, because even if it's just a metaphor and we get to the problem, you could have been a frigging alien on another planet and got told, you know, it doesn't really matter. You get the learnings from it, you internalize it, and it drops it away. And that was the biggest shift for me with the NLP, with the breakthrough day and the timeline therapy. It was mega brilliant. So it's just not about taking that first one. Sorry, go on.
No. I've done one set of timeline therapy with my mentor. I was actually listening to timeline therapy yesterday. I was listening to a guy in America doing it on one of the people in the show. I had a conversation the other day with a guy, and there was a few people in this listening to this conversation, and he said, I've got an addictive personality, and somebody else said, so have I. Now, medically, there's no such thing as addictive personality. Scientifically, it's never really been proven. So you've used the Milton model and the meta model in NLP around questioning and speech.
Yeah.
And listening to what you just said there, and listening to the timeline therapy, I should have done it this way. I should have took him back to the first time that he thought he had an addictive personality. And then I used the meta model. So I said, if you believe that you have an addictive personality, if that is true, what part of your personality is addictive? And he just sat there and he was like, I don't know. I was like, well, there you go. It's there's no such thing as addictive personality. We just have personality. We have behaviors. We have traits. We have patterns. And at the end of it, he was like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right." And I found that really powerful. But I think by having that timeline, I think it would have resonated a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, when they get, so it's the thing, you get the learning, personal, positive, and about your future, and they're just throwing the learnings out from it. And it's like at the beginning, is your unconscious mind ready to let go of the guilt or whatever you're working on? Is like guilt, hurt, sadness, fear, but different order though. And then whatever limiting belief they've got underneath, not good enough, which is normally the case, isn't it? And working through all those, it's brilliant. I've never had a client do it and not feel lighter. Everyone says I feel different, and then over the weeks and the months, they start noticing the different changes in behaviour and things like that.
I like what you said about when you were the embryo and you were listening to your parents having the conversation, because, like you said there, whether you believe in it or not, it doesn't make a difference, because the brain or the mind doesn't know the difference between what you tell it and what is reality, right? And I use the lemon analogy quite a lot, where I get people to go into their kitchen, they cut a lemon open, they squeeze all the juices out of it, and they start salivating. Their mouth will start drooling.
Yeah.
And I'll say the brain doesn't know the difference, right? The brain doesn't know the difference between what you tell it and what is actually happening. A lot of the time, you mentioned that again, and I speak about it a lot, is emotions. You mentioned when you were speaking about trauma that it's trapped in the body. And I've read the book, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. Fucking brilliant book. And
it's great for FND. If you get any clients with FND, that's the first thing I do, get them to read that book.
What's FND?
Great. FND is like they don't know, doctors don't know what it is. They class it as a neurological disease. So they get fits, body's parts stop working. But it's from trauma trapped in the body. As soon as I've got a client, actually, she was on like 10 to 12 fits through the week. She has one seizure a week now. So she can, quality of life's changed dramatically. And that's not all due to me as well. She had a lady who is a good friend. She does belief coding. So she had some belief coding done as well as been working with me. And together, they just completely dropped away. Like she's not getting any of the symptoms that she was getting. And it's all that emotion just trapped in the body, isn't it? Like the body keeps the score, basically. And that's the first thing I say, like, read this book, listen to this book. It's great.
Brilliant.
It really is.
One of the best books I've ever read. And so when we talk emotions, it's energy in motion, right? That's what emotion, that's how I perceive it. Energy in motion. So there's energy moving around your body. So my left hand and my right hand used to shake. Like, honestly, my left hand would do this at times. And that's a trauma response. Now, it's fine. But I had the tremor in my left hand since I was 12 years old. I got abused at it when I was 12 years old by someone. And it's been in my left hand ever since then. But every time I'd have like anxiety, or when I'd drink or take drugs, my hand would be like literally like this, honestly. My girlfriend thought I had fucking Parkinson's. A few of my friends have thought I've had Parkinson's. Now, doesn't do it at all. And that's because I know I'm doing the work on the emotion, on the so the way people ask me, how do you heal from trauma? The memory will always be there, always. But what we can do is we can associate a new emotional state to that memory. That's what healing trauma is. And then you physically have to do the work. Because people think talking about trauma heals you. It doesn't. A lot of the time, talking about trauma can bring up all the old memories, all the old emotions, right? Talking about it's good, but there's so much more that we have to do. And again, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, speaking to people like yourself and others, because it's important to get the different solutions and different aspects of what people do around trauma.
Yeah. CBT and talk therapies are great, but they're only going to get you so far. They're going to get you. It's like you're in that glass lift. They're going to get you up to level 3 so you can see the top of the roof. Then you're going to have to get on to level 7 so you can see the sky. And then there's certain modalities you can use to take you that little bit higher in consciousness, if you like, and awareness. But a lot of times it can be a bit. You can go to a session where you're talking about it, and then they send you home, and then you've got to sit with that emotion for a week. It can be more damaging than good sometimes.
Yeah.
So you got to take that. You like that. Somebody comes in, they're like a coiled spring. You've got to take that discharge that energy from it, and that emotional charge, and it'll just drop away.
What So what does the next 12 months look like to you, mate? What have you got planned, or is it just sort of live in the now, do what I want?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there is plans going, but I'm not as with it. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's traveling Asia. We've got a lot of travel plans. I've got some like new programs starting. I've got some anxiety programs going in Kajabi that are a lot cheaper instead of working on a one-to-one. I don't want money to be a barrier with people. Like if somebody comes and they're riddled with anxiety or whatever, they can still listen to some audios and still do the work to start feeling better and healing, and that's it really. But again, it's not, if it gets released in the next 12 months, it gets released in the next 12 months. If it don't, it don't. It is just about, again, accelerating my learning, still never stop learning, still taking that information, just being me really. There's not, I wish I had something more exciting to tell you about it. But literally, like, it's nice. It's nice to stay still.
That's the answer that I give to most people. Just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's learning about the art of becoming. So however that looks, just keep becoming. And I'd like to stay in touch, mate. Somehow I'll drop you my phone number, or you drop me yours.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak some more. It's nice to speak to like-minded people. But yeah, I've got one more question for you, mate. If you could sit 4 people around a dinner table from the past, they can be family members, heroes, idols, ancient history, whoever you want it to be. If you could sit 4 people around a dinner table, who would it be?
Straight away, I'd have my granddad there. Yeah. Definitely. I would have Sydney Banks there, who sort of came up with the 3 principles. Who else would I have there? This is a tough one, isn't it? I'd have who else would I have there? So I'm going down. Got Sydney Banks.
First two.
I'd have Steve Bartlett, because he's great at asking questions, and he's met some people. So I'd have Steve Bartlett there. So I need one more. I'd bring my son along as well. Maybe he might listen to something that might twig. I thought. Yeah, I think that's it.
Listen, mate.
It's a good question, that is.
Yeah, I like it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. I'll send me a number and we'll jump on a call and we'll do some of the snow globe effects and what you think.
Cool. I'll have a go with that, mate.
Settle it down.